Why should you have a presence on social media? I started posting on YouTube about a year ago, maybe a little more. And around that same time, a little bit before, I got rid of all my social media. And that to date is one of the best decisions I ever made. Now, YouTube is social media, but the way I use YouTube is more as a professor than as a entertainment, I believe. And I post on here, and I kind of want to talk about that today because I think I'm going to start posting on the platforms that I deleted, that deleting them have made my life so much better. And I've been struggling with that for a while because, well, in a way, I've been fighting, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, social medias of that nature. I've been fighting those because how much time I believe they wasted in my life, and how much envy they brought, and how many vices they brought with them, and how much virtue YouTube brought for me. So I said, I'll do long form content and I'll just post on YouTube strictly. Now, I posted one video on TikTok just because I have like 8,000 followers on TikTok from an old fitness page I had. So I posted on there once, but I didn't really keep doing it because my videos are long form content. So TikTok's not really made for a, 15, 30, 45-minute video. So I stopped that. And I never wanted to post on those platforms because I believe they're not beneficial to have. And I recently changed my mind about that. And I changed my mind about that because of a man named Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Now, Jean-Jacques Rousseau is a French philosopher and essentially was like the philosopher who both sides of the French Revolution were quoting, and you know, he had he's a very impactful philosopher in the modern day, and the French Revolution can be maybe attributed to his works and his outlook on France at the time. And I was listening to a lecture about Jean Jacques Rousseau by Jonathan Bee, and he was saying how he Rousseau hated the theater. He hated the modern entertainment culture, and he said, it was a vice. And he said all these negative things about modern day France and how it was corrupting itself. And I was like, yes, like that's exactly why I don't post on all these social media platforms, because I think they're corrupting everybody, and it's making everyone's attention span really bad, and I just don't see the benefit, more or less. And then then he talked about how Rousseau lived his life, and Rousseau, you know, wrote plays for the theater, and you know, he did all these things he criticized. And I thought, huh, that's interesting. I wonder why. And then he has a quote where he basically explains why. And he says, more or less, that it's better to have a society without all these things. And I'll translate that into modern day with, Snapchat, Instagram, um, Twitter, maybe even YouTube, essentially. He said it's better to have a society without these things. And, but our society is at a point where we can't reverse it. Me, protesting Instagram and TikTok and these platforms is not going to get people to stop using them. So Rousseau realized that, and he said, well, if it gets to the point in that society, then you should contribute, because at least you can put good content forward and try to help the people who are immersed in it. And I thought that was very interesting. And I've been thinking about that a lot, because I never wanted to post on other platforms because I don't really like them. But if everyone's going to be on those platforms and they have a chance to, potentially wake up from seeing one of my videos or seeing or just having um, a good secession of thoughts from something I say, then I think that's beneficial. And then I thought about it, and in the past, I have got a lot of valuable information from TikTok, Instagram, and social media. I have gotten a lot of valuable information, but there was just so much junk to siphon through. It just wasn't worth it to me. And it's crazy how fast an hour can go by when you're on these platforms. And it's just not good for your attention. I value reading more. I believe it's better for my brain. And I believe I actually consume the information better. But I don't think the whole world's going to convert to my way. So I think now it's better if I just post on these other platforms and try to, essentially wake people up. You know, I've also been, I've known about Plato's Republic, but I recently watched a good amount of lectures on Plato's Republic. And the allegory of the cave is very profound. And I've been thinking about that. And it's almost like I have to go down. I've gotten out of the cave, I've seen the light, and now I have to go back into the cave. And I have to try to show these people what the light is. I have to tell them there's more. And I'm going to be, walking around blind because I'm not used to the darkness anymore. And, Plato's analogy for the allegory of the cave is amazing because that's how it is. You go back into the cave and everyone laughs at you because you can't see, because you're not used to all this darkness. And they make fun of you and so on and so forth. And that's really probably how it's going to be when I start posting on these other platforms. But it doesn't really concern me because I know no one is willingly deprived of the truth. And, I can't fault them. I can't fault them. All they're doing is what they believe is best. But I feel like I'm in that position right now where it's like Plato and Rousseau are talking to me and they're saying, Plato's telling me I've seen the light and he's telling me to go back into the cave and try to help people who are in the cave, even though most people are not going to want help in the cave. And then Rousseau is saying, yes, you're right. These things in this day and age are not good. Your society itself would be better off without these things. But they're here and they're here to stay. Like, let's face it. I mean, I don't see anyone coming in and abolishing all these things. And because everyone would be pissed. Everyone would be in an uproar. And that's kind of sad if you think about it, but it's true. So these are things to stay, and if they're here to stay, might as well contribute to them and put some vegetables in there. You know what I mean? Put some peas, put some carrots, put some celery. So someone who's just getting all this chips and bacon and just junk food, just processed junk food, can maybe come across some vegetables and then enjoy them and realize, wow, that was a lot more fulfilling than all that junk food. And then potentially open up their eyes to a new world. Because that's kind of what happened with me, more or less. I started seeing quotes on TikTok about Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics and other philosophers like um, Lao Tzu and Confucius and Plato, and I thought, wow, like that's good stuff. And then I started looking into them, and then the last 2 years have been a journey of philosophy and understanding and seeking, and it's been amazing. But it really all started, when I think about it, with some quotes I saw on TikTok, and then seeing Ryan Holiday's video about Marcus Aurelius, and then deciding to buy Meditations. Ever since then, my life has changed drastically. But I think it could all start with going back to a platform like TikTok. And thank God there was somebody on there posting Marcus Aurelius quotes. So I think I'm done fighting the social media battle and only posting on YouTube and going to venture off to the other platforms to try to help people. And this is something I really enjoy doing, so it's better to have more content out there. That's my self-interest for the whole matter, because I mean everyone acts off self-interest, but I also think it's my duty to try to potentially bring people to the light, because my life is exponentially better now that I am in the light. And it's going to be hard wandering through the dark, and no one's going to understand me. But to be great is to be misunderstood, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says. So it's just a sign I'm on the right path. But I think I think that's why it's powerful to have a social media presence. And that's why I initially first started posting on YouTube. I was reading all these books, I was watching all these lectures, all these videos, all this informational content, and I felt like I had something to say. So I said it. And I don't know if I've helped anybody. I like to think I have. And, I only have gotten, 160, 170 subscribers in like a year, which is like whatever. I mean, that's honestly more than I thought. So I can be happy about that. But also, I want to help more people. And to reach more people, those other platforms are easier than YouTube. I mean, like I said, I have, 8,000 followers on TikTok, and I didn't post as nearly as much as I posted on YouTube. And so I have, it's yeah. But I think when you have something to say, you need to, and that's like what Rousseau was saying. And I decided to post on YouTube because it's helped me. But I kind of neglected the fact that the other ones helped me too. But there was also just a lot of junk food I had to siphon through. And someone who hasn't started their journey yet, that's the only way I'll reach them. They're probably not going to see, a philosophy video on YouTube by some random kid with like 20 views and be like, yeah, I'll watch that. But, I might pop up on their feed and they might give me 20 seconds of their time and then realize, huh, that's interesting. So if you have something to say, you should have a presence. Because if you don't, someone else will. And that someone else might not be giving the best information. That's kind of what people say Seneca did with being Nero's advisor, if you will. They said, Seneca knew Nero was evil, but Seneca thought, well, if I don't do this, who will? Who better than me to try to direct Nero into becoming a better person? If I don't do it, someone else worse is going to do it. And that's kind of the conclusion I've come to with other social media. If I don't post on there, it's going to be, the stuff you see now. I mean, there's some people trying to get people out of the cave in social and on other platforms for sure, but most of it is just junk food. It's just straight junk food that's just rotting people's brains and doing nothing good for them. It's not teaching them how to live. It's not teaching them how to die. It's teaching them how to regret their lives and wish they didn't do the things they did when they're older. So if you have something to say, I urge you to have a presence on social media, because if you don't, someone else will. And this does take a little bit of, maybe ego, maybe pride, if you will, because you got to have that feeling inside of you that, what I have to say is better than what other people have to say. Not everybody, but some people. What I have to say is better than what the majority of people are maybe not even saying, but just posting and just putting out there into the world. So, yeah, if you have something to say, you should have a presence, because if not you, then who? And if not now, then when?